In this video, I want to walk through a very standard Sharpe optimal portfolio in Python. Not to criticize it, but to understand what kind of portfolio it actually produces once you move beyond a single backtest. We'll start simple and then gradually look at what changes when we try to run this through time. I'm using a small liquid asset universe, equities, bonds, gold, commodities, and tech. And I'm starting the analysis in 2010. This is intentionally a clean setup. If things look unstable here, that tells us something important. So this will provide daily returns. So let's execute that. Next up, we got the optimization. I'll briefly explain what we are optimizing before looking at any results. So this block is the optimization. We estimate mean returns and the covariance metrics from daily data and annualize them. Then solve a standard max-Sharpe problem with long-only fully invested weights. I also allow for a max weight cap, which is a very common real-world restriction. Everything else is just helper code to compute equity curves and Sharpe ratios. So nothing exotic here. This is a textbook setup. Now let's run this cell. And next we compute two portfolios here. First one is just the unconstrained max-Sharpe portfolio. And the same optimization with a 30% weight cap. Let's look at what this actually means. So let's execute this one, providing some tables with weights for max-Sharpe portfolio and the cap portfolio. In the unconstrained case, the left column here, the optimizer concentrates heavily in gold and commodities. Equities barely show up, which is kind of a funny thing if you think about it. That's not a mistake, it's just the optimizer saying that historically on this time frame, this combination maximized risk-adjusted returns. Now let's look at the capped weights. When we add the 30% cap, the optimizer is forced to spread risk more evenly. Gold and commodities obviously hit the cap, bonds increase, and equities get a more meaningful allocation. So the constraint doesn't just change numbers, it changes how you'd interpret this portfolio economically. Now look at the Sharpe ratios. The unconstrained portfolio has a Sharpe around 1.19. The capped version is slightly lower, around 1.15. That's a very small performance difference. So constraints don't necessarily destroy performance, they mostly change structure. Here are the equity curves, so let's plot them. And on first sight, you see they're very, very similar. If you stopped here, you'd probably be comfortable running either portfolio. But this still tells us nothing about how stable these allocations are. To look at stability, I just rerun the whole optimization on a rolling window. This is happening here. Every few weeks, I just re-estimate the inputs using the most recent 3 years of data. This lets us see how sensitive the solution is to small changes in estimates. So let's run this and take a look at the rolling weights. So these are the rolling weights for the unconstrained max-Sharpe portfolio. Each line here is one asset's weight through time. So for instance, take the green line here, this is the weight of gold through time. All right. And what you can obviously see is how the weights jump abruptly. So take for instance gold here. To 0 here after 2023-ish here. But also every other asset. You see just these abrupt jumps. So the portfolio spends long periods heavily concentrated in one or two assets, as you see, then suddenly shifts. So for instance here, after 2022-ish, you see how the S&P 500 is nearly taking everything off the weight. So it goes up to 80% here. This is how you read it, all right? What's important here though is not which asset is dominant, it's how quickly the optimizer changes its mind. And it's insane, as you see in this chart here. Tells us the solution is extremely sensitive to small changes in the input data. Even though each solution is optimal at that point in time, the portfolio you'd have to hold keeps changing. This is what you see here. This instability is completely invisible if you look at the equity curve, as you saw. So these charts are additionally super important to take a look at. Now, let's take a look at the same for the capped portfolio here. So this is the same chart here. And this already looks quite different to the previous one. But first thing you'll notice is that the extreme spikes are gone. No single asset really dominates the portfolio anymore. Now, the subtle but important part is the weights are still moving a lot. All right? The optimizer is still reacting strongly to small estimation changes here. So the cap fixes the concentration, but it doesn't fix the sensitivity. This is a crucial distinction here. Now finally, let's take a look at the turnover here. So this plot summarizes the same issue in a single lemma. So the blue line is just the unconstrained turnover, and the orange line here is the 30% cap turnover here. So simple turnover proxy, how much the weight changes from one rebalance to the next. How often do you need to buy, sell, and so on. So just the turnover. High turnover means optimizer keeps changing its recommendation. Obviously matters for transaction costs, execution, risk management, and so on. Even if returns look fine, a portfolio like this is just obviously operational hard to run if you need to change stuff all the time. So the takeaway here isn't that Sharpe optimization doesn't work. It's that the solution you get is fragile. Constraints help with diversification and interpretability, but stability is a separate problem. That's where stress testing comes in, looking at volatility shocks, correlation changes, and different market regimes. If you want to go through that process step by step, I put a link below for a small live working session. We'll work through the notebook together and you'll have time to ask questions as we go.